Hey guys, in this video we've got the Arrma Fireteam, and this was a pretty cool little rig when it came out. It's not actually little, this is a pretty big rig, but at the same time I was never a fan of the body style and shape and weight. That was an issue for me. I did like the wheels and tires, but it's had its ups and its downs. It's real nosy when you come off the ramps, and I know it's not really a jumping machine, but I want it to be able to handle that. In this video we've got a whole bunch of stuff we're going to change around in it. We're going to get rid of this because this weighs a lot, guys, so we're going to get rid of that, and I want to install this. And this is the 6S Infraction body, and it's wide. We'll have to do some trimming on it and all that stuff, but getting that set on there, let's see if I can get it to stay in place. That's going to be pretty cool, and the body will sit a little lower than that. Also, alongside of that, let's put this down here, we're going to go ahead and change out the speed control because the Spectrum 150 went down, so that's bad. We're going to put a wheelie bar on it, and guys, this is the last T-Bone Racing wheelie bar we have here at the studio, and we bought quite a few of these when they were in business. They're out of business. We're going to stick this one on there just for some rear protection. We have an EXB front bumper. I hope this is the right shape to fit the body. If not, I may have to order an Italian version of that. We do have some body mounts posts. We do have the hardware for the body here. And we have these. These are pavement tires. Now, I know they're pavement tires, but these are the rear wheels off of the Felony, so they're larger than your average ones, and these will still spin out in the dirt pretty cool. And the idea is this is kind of a drifting truck. Now, if those wheels don't actually perform well, we have another set of the Mojave wheels and tires, and these might just do the trick. So between these or those, that might be pretty cool. Usually a build like this goes pretty easily, but every time you think it's gonna go easy, something goes sideways and it takes forever to do. Hopefully we'll be able to burn right through this and get it done. This should be an interesting build, and I can't wait to see what it turns into. Check this out. All right, so we got the wheels and tires off of this, and we got the body sitting in the back here, and we've gone over it a little bit just off camera here to have a look. And these DeBoots tires and wheels, although I thought it was a pretty good idea, they really don't work well on the car as far as what I want it to do. So the pavement tires are out for now, but we are going to go with these. And these are the Mojave wheels and tires off the 6S, and with that sitting on there like so, it gives it just about the right look for what we're aiming for. So let's put a couple of these on real quick and give you an idea of what it's going to look like when we're done with it. So we'll get this set up like this, and these are just for a quick demonstration of what it should look like with that on there. And of course we're going to have to figure out how we're going to get this body to sit, but the idea is to get something like that going, and that should look pretty cool, I think. So we're going to pull this apart now, and we're going to get started on the build. I'm not sure exactly how high I want to sit that, but with the width, see how wide that is? That should look pretty cool when it's all done. I'm just really excited for this whole thing. So let's tear this thing apart. All right, so we want to start here on the front skid plate, and we want to get rid of these two bumpers. The bumpers are part of what hold the body and all that in place, and the shape is not exactly what we're looking for. It's not ideal. So we'll go ahead and pull these off. And we need to change this front mounting assembly as well, so we'll pull these screws here. And we'll back these out, and this will slide right off. And we need this aluminum piece, so we'll go ahead and grab that. Here's the new one we're going to replace it with, so we'll put that in there. There we go, and get that installed, and get the two screws in here that fix it in place. Just like that. Nice. Now, always torque by hand, guys. I say this all the time because it's important. Don't use the machinery to torque, do it all by hand. Let's get these front screws in. Very nice. And now we can torque those down. And we'll get that bumper in place. There we go. And even though this is sped up, I'm not putting these in quickly, guys. They're going in nice and slow. This is a screwdriver, not a drill. So nice and slow, because you don't want to heat up the plastic. And then, as always, torque by hand. Perfect. Now we'll get the top two in, and there we go.
torque them up. There we go. Nice. Now on the back here, we need to pull these bottom screws, and that'll loosen up that rear bumper. Now we can flip it over and go after the bottom screws here, and this should allow it to come right off. There we go, just like that. And we're not going to use any of those components. So we want to move these two screws to the back temporarily, and we want to get this one out as well. There we go. And we don't need the outer portion of this for this particular wheelie bar. That's not necessary, so we'll take out the inner piece. There we go, and we'll put it back in place. I know this won't matter if you can't get a T-Bone Racing wheelie bar, but this is what's necessary to install one. So it comes with this block, and you put the screws in through here, and this adds 2 new mounting points, which is really nice. There we go. Gets everything fixed in place. Torque by hand. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Now I want to put those screws back where they came from, just like this, because those are going to stay in. We're not going to use those holes. When we put this in, we're going to use the front and rear holes. And this is fuel tubing. It's regular nitro fuel tubing for the Nitro RCs. And what I want to do is use them to take up some space in there. So we're going to run them onto the screws. And since the chassis is already chamfered or tapered, these will take up the space and allow everything to stay where it belongs instead of allowing it to slop side to side. We've had problems with that in the past, and this was a good solve that seemed to work. So we'll work it down like that. We'll get the back ones in. There we go, torque everything down, and notice how we didn't use the middle holes. We wanted to keep those two in there so that it kept the rear end straight, wouldn't allow it to walk back and forth, which when you use all 4, that allows that. Okay, so now we've got the screws and the nuts here. There's our screw section, and we'll put it in just like this. Get the nuts on the back, and this allows the brace to connect to this one panel. Just like that. And we'll get the wheels on it. Go ahead and snug those down. And then we'll torque them. There we go. There, nice. And that's what's involved in the wheelie bar. Pretty simple. Let's go ahead and get the body mount posts off. And since I'm not sure where these posts are going to be or how we're going to do it yet, we'll just go ahead and remove them for now. This top brace, pulling this off is unnecessary, and I found this out after getting into it. You don't have to take that off, so I don't recommend pulling it off if you don't need to. So that's an unnecessary step. That one screw in the side allows you to take the front mount off. We'll put the screw back in. There we go. And now we're going to go after the braces for what should be the wing assembly. So there's these 2 little braces that hold the rear chassis brace. We're going to go ahead and pull these off right now. There's the pieces. And this will allow us to get the wing mount on there because I do want to put a wing on this. I've just always been a fan of RCs with the wings on them. And if you've seen the laser nut video, you know I've done it to that one as well. So there's the pieces. And we want to make sure and keep these 2 nuts, and threading them in the backside is an easy way to pull them out. They can get stuck in there, so that makes it simple. And we'll use the same technique to put them in the new piece. Just like that. Oop. There we go. Now those are in place. We'll fish those through, and we'll get our bottom screw in. Now, if you did take that top brace, install it before you put these in place because it does block that one screw, and you'll have to remove one of these to fix that. So right in there, you'll see where that one screw's at. It's blocked by that wing mount, so you'll definitely want to get that brace installed first. There we go. Perfect. We'll get the back one in. Nice. Okay, now we're just going to use a small clamp here to hold this together because those fall out on the regular and it gets awkward. So we're going to put these on. And of course, these are the wing mounts. We're going to set them all the way up. I want as much lift as I can get to see where things are going to line up to. Just like that. And at this point, it's starting to look like an XL Creighton, which it actually is, with the exception, of course, of the rear braking assembly. It's pretty much a Creighton here, but we are putting the Typhon wing on. I wanted something fairly small that'll fit between the rails on the bed of the truck body, and this may do that. I don't know for sure, but we're going to try it. There we go. And of course, if you skip this step, you wouldn't have to do this. But I discovered right away that I had to pull that wing mount apart to put that back in, and I did that off camera. We'll get the front back in place. There we go. A little compression to line things up. Nice. And we'll tighten that down. Okay, a little check on the suspension just to make sure nothing's binding. And everything feels good. Nice and tight all the way through. Good build.
All right, so we've got stuff put together as far as the modifications to the car itself goes, and we did get the EXB bumper on the front. That'll give it some real good strength. It does have the wheelie bar on it now, and like I said, they don't make these. Don't ask for the part number, guys. You can't get them. It just is what it is. And we've got the wing on it. Now, the RPM mounts, these are really twisty, so it does absorb a lot of impact. It should keep it from imparting power into the chassis itself, and that prevents braking inside there, which is really nice. I'm a real fan of those. We did get everything put back together. We do need to change the speed control. We're just going to swap that out off camera. It's a simple swap over. We still have one very important thing to do, and this is a 7th scale car, so it's big. And if you take a look at the original body again, it's this guy. It's a fairly large body, and it has a unique footprint as far as how things went on. So when you place this over the body, over the car itself, it takes a lot of space, but it's narrow in the right places. Okay, we are going to change this out, and I really want to get this one on there. I really do. I want this on there, but the problem that I have with this is it's wide. Okay, so it comes out to the inside of the wheel right here where the hub carriers are. It comes all the way out to there, which means we'll probably have tire clearance issues because this is so wide. Now, I really want this on there. It was expensive, but if I can pull it off, it'll be pretty cool. Now, one thing about this is being 7th scale, if you take a look, see if I can do it from back here so you can see it, this is where it sits, okay? So here's where the bulkhead is for the shock tower. That cuts right across here, which means I'll probably wind up losing this part of the body. And that's okay, the wing and stuff will take that up and it'll look really nice. So this should come up and go straight back and tie into the shock towers. That'll look pretty cool, but we will probably lose this air dam in the front and part of these going up and over. I don't know, we have a few options here, guys. We have this one, we could put the stock one back on it, but it really wouldn't go with all of the modifications we've made. We do have a Reaper body, and we could make a Creighton XL out of this. I really don't want to do that. I want this thing out there. So let's get after this and see if we can't get this mounted. It's going to take custom body mounts, and we have some plastic that we're going to use for that. And it's kind of it's like Teflon. It's something we use at work. I don't really know the name of it, but it's a pretty pliable plastic, and it's easy to maneuver as far as getting around and cutting it for things. It's easy to model to make it work where you want it. Most plastics, as long as they're not rigid, will do the same job. So we're going to try and get this mounted next.
All right, so let's line things up here with the body and have a look at it. And if you line it up to center it on the arms, you can kind of see where it's going to need to be trimmed. And I'll line it up here, right at the back of the shock tower. And that will allow it to sit. If you take a look, the Creighton body stops right at the shock tower, so I'm thinking that should probably be a good way to line it up. But I'm not sure what the elevation is going to be yet. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this manly set of nippers and just cut this off because it's pretty much a straight line here. And we're going to do some other trimming after, so just to get it cut off, we'll use those. We'll set these out of the way. And we'll have a look at the body now. It looks a little short. We're going to have to do some adjusting to it. Let's see how it goes right to the shock tower now. That should be okay. We'll tuck it in and get a look at it. Okay. That's not too bad. Now we're going to use these. I needed to shorten the body anyway, so we're going to use these to shorten things up but complete the look of it. Just like that. And we'll see how much shorter it needed to be. And then we'll go ahead and affix these to it. Just like that. That looks pretty good.
Guys, I'm really bummed. We got into this, we started the build on it and everything, and we lost the footage. Our cameras shut down. I was unaware of it. We got the whole body install done, and we don't have the footage to show you. However, we will go over what we've done and what we used, and we didn't wind up using that plastic after all. What we did use was some other mounts from Arrma. So we got some off. These are standoffs here that bring it out from the back mount here. And we've got some mounts here. And these are leftovers that we had laying around, and they just happened to work okay. And we did manage to get the body to fit, and it took some shortening and it took some extra attention to detail to try to get it to sit good. And I gotta show you, check this out, guys. That sits really cool. It looks good. It clears for all the wheels and tires, even down. It clears everything. It should work good, and I'm really excited to get out and test it, make sure that everything looks and runs as cool as it should. This was a fun build. I wish I'd have had the footage to share with you. Guys, this doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while you run into technical difficulties, and this is what happens. So this is the build. We'll share everything we know about the build with you so that you can do it if you want to. The body does fit. It takes a little nerve to start cutting, and once you get to cutting on it, you're committed. And this was $90, I think, for the body, and we got that on eBay, so that's what we paid for it. And to take a set of scissors to it and just get after it, it's a risk. It always is, but if you have faith in what you're gonna do, lay some tape out, take a look at your lines before you get cutting, you should be able to do what you wanna do and keep the damage to a minimum. So I'm gonna get you a montage going. Check this out. This thing turned out really cool.
All right, so there's the build. That's it. This thing is cool. I mean, it's really cool, but what do we call it? Is it an Infraction? Is it a Fireteam anymore? Is it a Mojave? A Typhon? It's got all those parts in it. So how do you classify it? Well, it's 7th scale. It's going to run against the Mojaves when we get it out and play with it. So we've geared it the same as the Mojaves. It has the same drivetrain as the Mojaves. This one has the rear brakes of the Infraction or the Fireteam, so that gives it a unique capability that the Mojave just out of the box doesn't have. It does have the stock components in there, but we still have to change that speed control, and that won't take long. It's a direct replacement. It'll go right in. So the next time we play with this thing, it's going to be way different than it was before, and the gearing is much different now because this one had the big tires of the Fireteam on it. Now it's got the Mojave tires and wheels on it. And that changes the gearing a lot, allowing us to gear it up quite a bit to get that high speed that the Mojave's known for. This should be really cool, and I'm really excited for it. The body posts that we use for this are factory Arrma body posts. We were gonna make some that were wider to sustain it, but it really went on good and it's tight. It doesn't wobble side to side, and that's just the stock mounts in how you apply them. So we'll get a couple of pictures of those up here for you so you can see how we applied them on this one, but how you put them in is entirely up to you. You can put those posts anywhere. Just be really careful about how you port your body so you don't make the holes too big, because if you make the holes too big, it'll rattle on there and you may not be satisfied. As far as that goes, those parts, you can go to Arrma and just look at body posts and pick the ones you want. If you get them off of the 6S platform, they'll work and that'll be okay, but make sure your offsets for what you want to do work for your application before you purchase them. The part numbers and stuff, a lot of these parts that we use for the body posts are stuff we just had in our boxes here. We didn't have anything to look up for it. They're all pretty much the same, but what we really dig, and we're going to use Arrma as an example on this because they really do shine in this demeanor. When it comes to creating your own stuff, the 6S platform from Arrma is amazing. And the reason for that is they use many of the same components in all their different cars. They have the same diff housings, they have the same differentials for the most part. They have the same everything. The arms are different, the drive lines are different, but you can interchange them. That's what's cool. The mounting points are all the same, so you can make something longer, shorter. You can swap parts in the 6S platform and create whatever your mind can imagine. These platforms allow you to do that a lot easier than some of the other ones where you have to custom print or custom cut out parts to make things work. In this platform, this really does shine because if you want a longer one, an XL Creighton, an XL Italian, whatever, you can simply bolt a Mojave chassis on it, change the drive lines, and you've got a long one. It's a little more involved than that, but it's still bolt-on ability. You don't have to do a lot of building and cutting and trimming. You can bolt parts on, and that's what makes this part of it so much fun. What do we call this thing? Is it a Mojave? Is it a Typhon? Is it a Fireteam? Is it an Infraction? Guys, it's a little bit of both, and that's what makes it cool. So there you go. If you guys have done a build that you think is cool or not cool, whatever, please feel free to share it in the comments down below and inspire others along the way. Hey guys, I wish we hadn't lost the footage for the body assessment, but we did, and that kind of stuff happens. For AJ Jam Studios, I'm AJ saying, keep wrenching, guys.